project that we're going to do today is to build a storage box for our Meade telescope. It's actually my son's telescope, and it's quite delicate and fragile. It's not something you want to just throw in the back of your car if you're going to a location. There's a number of lenses, as you can see, in the storage containers within the box, and there's a base that goes on the telescope to hold your lenses. So you want to arrive whatever location you're going to be at with all the parts you need to use your telescope, and you want your telescope protected while it's en route. So we'll just go through the process and show you how I built this. This is a simple project. Anybody can build it, and you don't necessarily have to have the telescope. You may want to build a box for something that you're particularly interested in keeping from getting broken. It could be fishing rods and fishing gear that you travel with. Anything that's fragile and you want to get from A to B without damages. So we'll go ahead and see how we do this project. The first thing we have to do is we have to lay out all our pieces, our telescope, the boxes and so on that we want to put in the box, anything that's pertaining to taking up the actual physical space. We have to lay that out on a table and decide how big a box we're going to build, and then we build the box as you see right here. Now what I've done here is I've built an entirely enclosed box. In other words, the bottom and the top is on, and as you can see, I've got it sitting on the top of my table saw with my higher fence on, so I get a nice straight cut. And now I go about cutting the top off the box. I've measured the width of the top that I want because I want to store things in the top as well, so it actually makes two boxes. So here you see it, lid has been cut off, and I've got it sitting up how it's going to be once it's hinged. And then we move on to the next slide showing the top and the bottom on the bench, and I'm laying out where I would like to have the telescope in the box and all the other accessories where they're going to go, and I've made a few little brackets to hold the lenses cases in place. Now it's time to put the lid and the bottom back together, and I hold it with clamps, get it in place so that it's in perfect alignment, and then we can put on the piano hinge, and then we end up with the box with the hinge on it. And I've put a few wedges underneath on my little bench outside here to tip the box back a little bit so that the lid doesn't fall forward, because it is a little bit windy today, and you see I have my plastic wind protector up here for spray painting the box. Now I've gone ahead, and you can see in this slide I've measured all of the angles and the round parts that are going to support the telescope, and all these other little pieces here either support the legs. In the next slide you'll see all the clamps holding on a wooden block that I have. That's the exact shape of the dial indicator on the side of the telescope, so when the lid comes down it clamps that part of the telescope, doesn't allow it to move. Now the next process is painting, and you'll see in the foreground I have my blue paint gun set up here. This is a high volume, low pressure paint gun. I'm going to use just a regular latex paint with the top pot on it. It's a gravity feed gun, and you can use just regular spray cans if you wish. It doesn't matter how you put the paint on, or you can brush it on. It's just simply a coat to protect it from the weather. Now the next step, after I had it painted and all dried, I went to the craft store and I bought some very thin foam craft sheets. They're approximately 12 by 24 inches long, 1/4 inch high density foam, and they made perfect inserts in the places where they were going to cradle the actual telescope itself. And you can see here I've laid them where it's going to touch the telescope, and it just kept it from moving around and also protected it from scratching. And here we have the finished product. You can see I have some bungee cord strapping the telescope into its box, and it makes for a very nice display case if you wish to display your telescope as well. And here we have the finished exterior of the box, and what I did here is I added some nice brass latches, brass carrying handle, and around all of the edges of the box I put on a plastic, glued on a plastic drywall corner that you would use in a residence to protect the corner in your house. And on each of the corners I put on these brass corner protectors as well, so you can stand it on end or stand it on its back, on its front, and it never really does touch the surface of the box. These little corners keep it raised above whatever you're setting it on. But there you have it. I'm glad you've had an opportunity to see this video. Hope it encourages you to do a little bit of carpentry work in your own shop. And thanks for watching. And we'll see you in the next video at the Handyman's Haven.